A guy came up to me recently, he said, "Oh, I want to be an actor. How did you get into it?" And I said, "Well, I just kind of started when I was young." And he said, "Well, how did you get on TV?" And I went, "Never mind about TV, just if you want to be an actor, just, you know, go down the back of a pub and perform something." Because that's what it is, essentially, you know. There's a lot of talk about acting and stuff, because I suppose it's popular culture. But yeah, I'm just looking to work with interesting people. There wasn't a clarifying moment when I thought this is what I want to be my career, but I just know in my heart that I've had, you know, huge amounts of fun being an actor, and it's a great profession because you get to travel the world and you get to explore the furthermost of people's varieties, you know, and meet so many people, I suppose is what I'm trying to say. And yeah, I think it makes quite a strong person out of you, or else a weird person out of you. But I admire so many actors, you know, I admire new ones every day, you know. But I mean, Cillian Murphy's a good one. He's a guy who's been clever enough to have a very continuing career, and he's done that, you know, by, I think, cleverly choosing projects and stuff. And that's, I suppose, what I would want to do as well. I mean, I like people like David Attenborough, you know, or people who can teach me stuff. I like people who teach me stuff, and they're kind of heroic because they're actually doing something that's of worth in the world. Brian Cox is a hero because he's, you know, he brings the most mystifying, you know, properties of the universe to us in the most kind of pleasing and wonderful way, and that's a really great thing to do. I mean, hero is quite an epic word, you know, but he's interesting. I just like very interesting people. No, I don't fancy myself as a heartthrob. If I did, I think I'd be more of a twat. No, I think I'm far too concerned with trying to just do some good jobs, and that requires a lot of grind and mental stress, I suppose. So to consider myself some kind of heartthrob is much further away from what I actually consider myself. It's very easy to get confused between being a heartthrob and being on the telly, you know? Because being on the telly can get you a lot of attention from the ladies, but it's the wrong kind of attention, you know, and it's not interesting, you know. But it's, you know, it's fine, you know. I mean, I love that people like the job that I've done in a series or whatever, you know, because I'm quite admiring of some people in films and stuff, and, you know, I'd love to meet them and that, but you know, I would never try and shag a fan, basically, is what I'm saying. Because it's just a weird road to go down, you know what I mean? You don't know what you're getting. They don't know what they're getting. I don't think you can shy away from something just because it has a sex scene in it. It shouldn't really, you know, make or break your decision to do something because it has an explicit sex scene. You know, if anything, I mean, if the sex scene doesn't work in the piece, or it's just there because it's a sex scene, well then it's wrong, you know. And there are lots of projects like that. But as regards to, I don't really mind doing sex scenes. The thing about a sex scene is it's the least sexy thing you'll ever do in your life. Because bear in mind, there's you and the girl or the guy or whatever, and 14 or 15 crew all around you recording your sound and recording your bits, you know what I mean, with a camera. And basically it's a job, you know, and I suppose the job is, artistically, is to make the sex scene sensual or lustful or whatever it's supposed to be, but ultimately doing the thing is altogether technical. And if you have a horn, you should step out for a minute and think about, you know, a bus full of dead nuns and then go back and do the job. I just want to clarify, I am not a pervert. I'm all right, most of the time. The part that I've played that most reflects my own personality. I don't know. That's a hard one to say because I suppose all of them reflect my personality. I don't know how evenly, but as regards identifying with Nathan Young, the character, I was a good enough kid because my dad was a policeman, right? So I wasn't allowed to be arrested because, he was my dad, And I very nearly was once or twice, but, because nothing too serious. I was never homeless or anything, or I never stole any children. Well, firstly, all of the character Nathan was written in before I then performed it but I suppose in that sense, they wrote the series as we had been cast, so they wrote to our strengths, I think, because they knew who they were writing for onward. And I think what was interesting about that character was that, firstly, on the set of Misfits, we were allowed to dick about and cause havoc as much as we possibly could, and we were never discouraged from that. So there was never really a parental or a professional influence on set. So I certainly wasn't reined back because I kind of wanted to push it as much as I possibly could all the time, and as did the rest of them. And it was good, that show, because we all had strong characters in ourselves in each character. And I suppose it came quite naturally that the more relaxed I am, I suppose, the more I feel I can dick about and, mess around with people. And that's probably why it seemed so natural, was because they created a really good atmosphere on set. Well, the naughtiest thing I did, well, it would often be, when it wasn't my shot, when, they'd done me and they were turning around to do the other person, I would completely change my lines and, start pissing around. There's a bit with myself and Nathan Stewart Jarrett, and I often remark that he looks a bit like Grace Jones, the singer, right? And so I would often just drop her name into one of my lines when I was speaking to him, just to rattle him, see if he got any reaction on his face. But it was just often petty little nonsenses like that, basically. Yeah, I worked with Nicolas Cage, and no, I didn't have to behave myself at all around him. In fact, he was probably the biggest messer on set. He's a wonderful and curious man with a very strange sense of humor. And he'd go. Now this is in context, within a day where we're all going a bit mental because it's all a bit, a bit cabin fever going on in the studio. So we're all telling each other jokes, and he'd come over and go, so, why did the chicken cross the road? Because, and then just run off. And everyone go, what the fuck was that? But there were long jokes would then end in a noise, and you go, you're a mental case. But it was just, again, because we were 14 hours in the studio, and we were just gone into that insane bit of your brain.